The perfect couple is brilliant fun and also a little emotional as well. This is the 13th episode of the 7th season of Full House. This is directed by John Tracy, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode chronologically and share some thoughts. It starts off establishing a Christmas theme. We have the decorations in the house, and yes, he's helping Nicky and Alex wrap some gifts. It's very, very sweet. And then we have the main narrative. Joey is hosting a test run of a new game show. It's called The Perfect Couple, and it features couples at different stages in a relationship. So obviously he ropes everybody in, and we have Steve and DJ as the dating couple. We have Becky and Jesse as the married couple, and in theory we have Danny and Vicky as the engaged couple, and we'll come back to those in a moment. So the bulk of the episode is set on this game show, and I'll talk about that in a second. We also have Stephanie babysitting Michelle, Nicky, and Alex, and we cut back to them occasionally. We have a lot of fun with it, and I rather enjoyed it. It was a nice way to include those four, because obviously they're not involved in the game show. Basically, Nicky and Alex are running around not listening to Stephanie, all because she gave them the wrong pajamas, and Michelle was able to save the day. Stephanie realised that Michelle actually could help her, instead of Stephanie being the only one in charge. Granted, she's the oldest, but Michelle brought value as well. It was a nice part of the episode. So the game show itself, I absolutely love it. I love Joey's attire. I love the set design. It is a gorgeous, soft, pinky purple. And I don't like Joey's character in this, the character he's playing, the game show host. Insofar as in real life, I find that character annoying, but I love the energy the character brought to the episode. I thought that was very, very effective. And it's time for the game show, and everybody's there except Vicky. She's running late. So Danny is paired with Estelle, played by Mary Gillis. She's a delightful character, so funny. Really thoroughly enjoyed her. Of course, it kind of defeats the purpose because they're not engaged, but we start to get the questions, and it turns out Estelle's getting them all right, which is maybe a little unrealistic, but it was a lot of fun. And DJ and Steve are getting the questions wrong. For example, the question for DJ when Steve was out of the room was, what kind of fish would Steve say DJ kisses like? This is the quality of the questions, but again, it seems quite realistic for this kind of game show. And DJ said she hoped that Steve would say she kisses like an angelfish. And that's not what Steve said. So DJ is still convinced they don't know each other well enough, even though that's a pretty ridiculous question. With Becky and Jesse, of course, we'd think they'd just get all of the questions right. They've been married for a while. They know each other really well. But Jesse's in a mood because he thinks he's too predictable, and he doesn't like that. I thought Becky gave a great performance here. Jesse was being a little sour, but he ultimately learned that it's a good thing that he's predictable, in the sense that Becky cares for him. She observes him. She's being around him a lot, and that's what he wants from a relationship. So it's a good thing that she can guess things and know things about him and predict his next move because they are so close. So Jesse realizes that it's not necessarily a bad thing, and it's a lot of fun, and it's not a game show I'd watch in real life. It kind of reminds me of All Star Mr. and Mrs., if you've ever seen that before. That came many years after this. I don't know if there are any US equivalents, but I'm sure there are some. It seems like a pretty straightforward game show format, but I would find it really tedious in real life. And Danny and Estelle win, and it's great fun. And then Vicky arrives, having obviously been delayed. And this is the bit that gets really emotional. And I think it would be quite unpredictable. I'd seen this before, of course, so I could remember what happened, but I feel like the fact that I don't think anybody would see this coming makes it all the more emotional, particularly because at the beginning of the episode, Danny was talking about how he was going to ask Vicky to finally pick a wedding date so they can start moving forward with their future. And Vicky announces that she's got an anchor job in New York. And she doesn't see the big deal because she'll move to New York. She's currently in Chicago. It's not going to really be any different to how it is now. But for Danny, that's a bad thing because that's not a step forward. And they break up. And they realise that on this occasion, love isn't enough. And Danny says to her, and I thought this was quite interesting, Danny says to her, I can't ask you to give up your dreams, so I'm going to have to give up mine. I'm getting a little emotional there. And I thought that was an interesting phrase because that suggests, and I'm not saying this is wrong or incorrect, but that suggests that Vicky doesn't want to marry Danny as much as Danny wants to marry Vicky. His dream, his end goal is to marry Vicky, whereas she's more focused on her career, which I think is what we're seeing with the character. I think that makes sense. But if you're not on the same level, is it ever going to work? And well, the episode suggests that actually, no, it's not, because they both want different things. And it's unfortunate. And it's really emotional and really difficult. What I also love, and some people might disagree with this, but we then cut to Danny at the house, and the girls ask him if he's okay, and he admits he's not, that he's miserable. And I really like that. I like the fact that he's not breaking down and having this huge breakdown and making the girls scared or anything. But he was honest about his feelings, and I think it's so important for adults to let children know that even adults can feel upset and miserable, and that's okay, and you work through it. And I think that was a really sensible decision. Some people might disagree. Some people might think, actually, don't let your children know you're unhappy because it shows weakness or something, but I think that's a good quality, and the girls were there to support him, and it was beautiful. It was something. So it's a really fun, entertaining, very, very, very different episode. Joey was an absolute delight. And then we have that emotion at the end. And I'm not even that bothered about Vicky. I don't really care for Vicky. But I do care for Danny. And it seemed like he had his chance of his forever happiness. And it didn't work out. At least here. So who knows what's in store for Danny? Well, I do, because I've seen the rest of the show, but I won't go into any more detail. I really thoroughly enjoyed the episode. It's a lot of fun, and then that raw emotion of just everybody being honest and vulnerable. It's a lot. It's quite a roller coaster, and I think all things considered, The Perfect Couple is a pretty perfect episode.